and welcome to this week's video. This is just the one video this week for GM6, and in this one we're going to be looking at what are known as compound measures. So that's things like speed, distance and time, and mass, density and volume. Right, let's start off with speed, distance and time. Now what we've got then is we're going to show you a little triangle there with the letters D, S and T. D for distance, S for speed, T for time. Now you're probably wondering, what is all that about? Well, this will help us get the formulae for distance, speed and time. Now whichever one you want to know, you cover up, and the triangle will help you get the formula for that one. So for instance, if we want to get the formula for distance, we cover up the D on the triangle. So let's cover that D up there. Now what we're left with is an S next to a T, and when two letters are next to each other in algebra, they multiply. So what we've got there is distance is speed times time. Okay, let's uncover that D. Now if we wanted the formula for speed, we would cover up the S. So we'll cover up the S, and we're left with a D on top of a T. So that means D must be divided by T, or distance must be divided by time. And finally then, let's uncover that S. Let's cover up the T and help us find the formula for time. So we cover up the T. We notice in the triangle D is on top of S. So that means that it's D, distance, divided by speed. So that triangle helps us find the formula for distance, speed or time. And you simply get it by covering up the one you want to know and reading the other letters. So let's see how we use it. Let's have a look at questions 1, 2 and 3. We'll do 1 together and then you can have a go at 2 and 3. So question 1. Let's have a look. Let's get our triangle, DST. And let's cover up the other questions a bit. So we've got the distance from Cardiff to San Francisco. It's 8,500 kilometers. Plane takes 12.5 hours to fly. Work out the average speed of the plane. So we're working out speed. So we want the formula for speed. So we cover up S on our triangle. And we're left with D on top of T. So that means the distance divided by time. So we're going to say speed is distance divided by time. And the distance, 8,500 divided by 12.5, and that gives us a speed of 680 kilometers per hour. So you might need a calculator during this video, so if you get that now, press pause, then have a go at just questions 2 and 3, and we'll check the answers. Okay, how'd you get on then? Let's have a look at question 2. Bus travels for 5 hours, average speed is 62 kilometers per hour. What's the total distance? So cover up D for distance. That leaves us with S next to T, sorry. So that means that distance is speed multiplied by time. The letters are next to each other. And so we've got 62 times 5, which is 310 kilometers. Excellent. Let's have a look at number 3. A neighbouring drives 140 miles to a cricket match. Average speed of 40 miles per hour. What's the time? We want to find out T for time, cover up T on the triangle, D on top of S, distance divided by speed. So 140 divided by 40 is 3.5 hours. Excellent. Now we can use this same idea for lots of other parameters, such as mass, density and volume. And we get a similar triangle, but with the letters in this arrangement, M, D, V. Okay, M on the top, D, V on the bottom. And just like we did with speed, distance, time, if you want to know a formula for mass, you cover up the M. So there we go, cover up the M. D is next to V. What does next to each other mean? They multiply. So mass is density times volume. If you want to know the formula for density, let's cover up the D. M is on top of V, mass divided by volume. And finally, if you want the formula for volume, cover up the V. M's on top of D, mass divided by density. So there's our 3 formulae. And you don't have to learn them, you just need to know the triangle. So you need to know the order of the letters, M, D, V. Okay, so let's have a look at some questions. Over to you now, questions 4 and 5. Press pause, work them out, and then press play for the answers. But don't go on to number 6. We'll have a little look at number 6 before you start. So have a go at 4 and 5. Okay, how do we get on? So the only thing here is a bit confuse them with some of the terms. But let's have a look. There's our triangle, MDV, and there's our question 4. So the density we're given, and we've got to work out the mass. It says work out the mass of a piece of platinum with that volume. So we're covering up M, and M, the formula for M is D next to V, so that means D times V. So mass is density times volume. So the density is 21.5, volume is 32. We multiply those out, 688 grams. Okay, question number 5. We've got to work out the density. We're given the mass and we're given the volume. It says there, work out the density. So we cover up D for density, M on top of V. Mass divided by volume. And so that's going to be 450 divided by 500, 0.9. Funny units for density, grams per cubic centimetre. So if you didn't get those, go back over them, make sure you've got them. And then now we're going to have a look at these, which are exam type questions. Now, there's only 3, so just before you get stuck into them, I'm going to go through a little bit to start you off on number 6. This is quite a confusing question in some ways. Miriam's flight actually arrived 7 hours 45 minutes after departure. The aeroplane flying speed between London and Karachi is 434 knots. Given that 1 knot is 1.85 kilometers per hour, calculate the distance. So there's a couple of things we've got to do first. This was actually the second part of a question, which is why it might read a little bit strange. So we've got to do 7 hours 45. Now don't put that into the calculator as 7.45. It's not 7.45. It's actually 7 3/4 hours, which is 7.75. And then the speed, so we're given it in knots, 434. We've got to change that to kilometers per hour. So we're going to multiply by 1.85. They tell us 1 knot is 1.85 kilometers per hour. So we'll do that, and there it is. So there's your time, there's your speed, and you've got to work out the distance. Over to you now for questions 6, 7 and 8. Press pause, press play when you want to check them. Alright, how do you get on then? So let's do our triangle. There it is, DST. And they're in alphabetical order, actually, if you forget which order they go, DST. So we are working out the distance, cover up, D for distance, S next to T, speed times time. 7.75 times 802.9, and there it is, 6,222.475 kilometers. Excellent. Let's have a look where the marks come from, and so 3 marks for this question. Okay, so let's have a look at number 7. The journey from Edinburgh to Dundee takes 2 hours 30. Calculate the average speed of the journey given the distance is 100 kilometers. So we're given the distance and the time. We've got to get the speed. So let's do that. Journey time is 2 hours 30, which is 2.5 hours, not 2.3. And the distance, 100 kilometers. Let's do our triangle, DST, and we are working out the speed. Cover up S for T, for speed, sorry. Speed is distance divided by time. So it's 100 divided by 2.5. Now this was given on a paper 1, which is non-calculator. So that might have caused you a bit of grief. Actually, the easiest way to deal with this on a non-calculator paper is to double everything. To have 200 divided by 5. Okay, and that gives us an answer of 40 kilometers per hour. So that little bit there times in by 2 because it was a non-calculator paper. Okay, so let's have a look at the last question. Sophie's gone on holiday, distance given, and the time. Calculate the average speed in miles per hour. So the journey time is 2 hours 30. Remember, that's 2.5, 2.5 hours. The distance is 35 miles. So we've got DST. And we're calculating speed, cover it up, D over T, distance divided by time. So it's 35 divided by 2.5. And just as on the other one, because this is a non-calculator paper, paper 1 down the bottom left, you see, we're going to double everything. So we've got 70 divided by 5. That's much easier. 70 divided by 5 is 14 miles per hour. So that's it. That's the end of this week's. And compound measures, not very common questions in exams, but still worth knowing. So I'll speak to you next week. Bye for now.